I was preparing for an education conference a number of years ago and looking at the future of careers, future of jobs, and came across this statistic from a study in Australia that put in perspective that they believe things are changing so quickly with jobs, careers, new knowledge, new education, that we are in a situation right now in which 65% of children who are in preschool today will work in jobs or careers that do not yet exist. Think about that. So if you have a son, daughter, niece, nephew, granddaughter, grandson who's in kindergarten, grade 1, the likelihood is 7 out of 10 are going to work in a job or career we don't even know what that is yet. And I believe that to be true because, I speak at a lot of associations, a lot of industries, a lot of different events, and witnessing, the evolution of new careers, new jobs. And I can put this into perspective for you. Show of hands, how many of you today carry around a smartphone? Everybody's got a smartphone, right? Like, the cell phones are the new fashion. It's sort of, if you go to a party and take out a flip phone, people are going to look at, well, what a loser, you got something from the olden days, right? You've got this old tech. So we've all got smartphones. Because of that, we've got GPS in our pockets. And in the last 10 years, we've seen the emergence of all this spatial, S-P-A-T-I-A-L, all this geographic-oriented information, Google Maps and things like this. And we've had the emergence of a profession of people known as location intelligence professionals. You can Google that phrase. And we know what's happening in the world of transportation. We know what's happening in the world of retail. I'm going out to insurance conferences where we are talking about location intelligence professionals who will come up with new ways of assessing and underwriting insurance risk for life policies based on deep analysis of geographic-oriented information. We are witnessing the emergence of a whole variety of new careers all around us, and certainly happening in the manufacturing space. Second observation comes from the world of US science education. Instead of you're taking any type of degree today based on science, so anything involving agriculture, architecture, medical, certainly anything having to do with engineering, we are in a situation in which there's so much change occurring that it's estimated that half of what you learn in your very first year of a college or a university degree is obsolete or revised by the time you graduate. Think about that. We've got young kids going into engineering programs, and there's so much new knowledge, so many new methodologies, so many new ways of designing infrastructure, so much intelligence that we are bringing into the manufacturing space that half of what they learn in that foundation year is obsolete or revised by the time they graduate. Third observation comes from the consumer technology sector. Spent some time with the CEO of the digital camera company before I went on stage. He was talking to his team, and he indicated that when they bring the typical digital camera to market today, they figure they've got about 3 to 6 months to sell it before it's obsolete. And we know that's happening in the automotive space. We know that's happening in the transportation space. I speak at a lot of dealer meetings in the automotive sector, and think about it. I'm going to have a car in 2017 with a dashboard that was modern in the year 2014. It was probably conceived in the year 2010 with long, laborious lead times. And when, the resale value of that car in 2017, the 2014 dashboard is going to look like it's from the olden days. Because we know that consumer technology, the speed of consumer tech is coming to invade the automotive sector. What do we do about this? What do we deal with a world in which change is happening faster than ever before? And that's why my favorite phrase comes from the global media magnate Rupert Murdoch, who observed years ago, if you think about what is going on, there is so much change. It is so all-encompassing. It's coming at us from so many different directions that increasingly, big organizations aren't necessarily, guaranteed success in the future. The new success metric is speed. The new success metric is our ability to ingest new ideas, new ways of working, new forms of collaboration, new technologies, new methodologies. It's our ability to keep up with fast-paced change. And that's the message I find myself dealing with a tremendous range of different organizations. Everyone from Disney to ESPN to Toshiba, Consumer Electronics Association, NASA's Goddard Space Center, north of Washington. Now this is about 3 years ago. I'm sitting in the home office and I get a call, and who's on the phone? It's NASA. I'm saying, well, right, NASA's on the phone. And they want me to come in and talk to them about the future. What do you want me to do? Well, we'd like you to come in and talk about the future of space. I remember looking at the phone like this, kind of thinking, oh, this is kind of weird. And I said, well, who's going to be in the room? They said, well, we're going to have some astrophysicists. We're going to have people who are manufacturing and developing the James Webb Telescope, which is the replacement for the Hubble. We're going to have these folks who are examining dark matter, deep space, examining the origins of the universe. And we would like you to come in and challenge them to think about the future of space. I said, well, I can do that. Not a problem. So, you know, it's always fun to take on a unique assignment. So I'm sitting in the home office the week before. I'm starting to pull together my PowerPoint presentation to talk to these incredibly intelligent folks about the future of space. And I'm thinking, where do I start? And I'm thinking, well, look, I got to grab their attention right off the bat. I'm going to talk about George Jetson. I'm going to go into NASA. I'm going to talk about George Jetson. So I went and found this picture, you know, the picture of George, another picture of George, and I started talking to them about the Jetsons. Well, why would I talk about the Jetsons? Well, you remember this TV show? It came out in 1962. It was set in the year 2062. It purported to show what the world would look like 100 years later. Science fiction. But think about what George is doing in these pictures. He's using space-time to talk to his boss. He's using Skype. He's getting his news off the internet. And my point for NASA was this. You know, we live in this world in which, you know, we have these predictions about science fiction that used to be, you know, far away in the future. They're going to happen in the year 2062, and all of a sudden they're real and they're here today. And my point for NASA was this. Science is accelerating. Our world is speeding up. The rate of change encompassing every single industry, including yours, with fellows like Elon Musk and SpaceX, who's out to redefine the future of space, where it used to be a world only the Russians and the Americans, a little bit of the Chinese were in the space industry, and now it's being democratized with 350 companies worldwide in the private space industry. Things are speeding up. So I'm thinking, you know, this is a good storyline, this might work, you know, this could catch their attention. And then I'm thinking, look, I got one shot at this. I mean, NASA, you know, when will they ever invite me in again? There is no way that I cannot go into NASA and not talk about Spock. I got to talk about Spock. I mean, you got one shot at this thing. I put up this picture of Spock. Now, are there any Trekkies in the room? Hold your hands. You know you're out there. Here's what happens. They get all stressed out because apparently this is the wrong photo from the wrong episode. I'm going to stick with it anyway because, you know, the story is what is important. What Spock is holding in his hands here is a medical tricorder. Fantastic concept from the 23rd century, science fiction. A little medical device that you could, you know, hold next to the head of someone and instantly determine an entire physiological readout, get their entire medical history, get a predictive diagnosis of the medical conditions they would face in the future. What a fantastic concept of science fiction. But the reason I brought this up for Spock is because today we live in a world of the global X Prize, where there are companies and organizations challenging the global scientific community to solve some of the biggest problems of our time, having to do with education, having to do with water, having to do with energy, having to do with the environment, having to do with healthcare. And Qualcomm, who's one of the world's largest manufacturers of computer chips, put together a $10 million prize to challenge the global scientific community to develop a medical tricorder. And the reason I brought this up for NASA's Goddard Space Center was because they were unaware, from my discussions with them, that out at NASA's Ames, a research laboratory in California, a group of 45 NASA scientists got together on an informal Skunk Works project to develop the Xanadu Scout, the medical tricorder of the 23rd century. They went out to Kickstarter, raised the funds to do the R&D, to do the development, to pre-sell the medical tricorder of the 23rd century, which I hold in my hands today. This little device I can put to my head. It will take my blood pressure. It will do an EKG. It will take my pulse. It will do an O2 level. Future versions will do a glucose reading. To win the X Prize, they have to have it do 13 physiological readings. The medical device technology of the 23rd century is here. And it's only 2015. My point to NASA was that the world is speeding up to such a degree it is staggering. And we